And for more on the political fallout from today's developments, we're joined by our Politics Monday team, Tamara Keith of NPR and Amy Walter of the Cook Political Report. Politics Monday, good to see both of you. I want to ask you about William Brangham's reporting, but Tam, let's start with the news today, and that is the two indictments and then the plea agreement. Is there a sense from the White House, from the Hill, from Capitol Hill, that this is a big moment politically, or just another day in the life of this ongoing investigation?
The White House is treating this sort of like they've treated other big revelations, saying, oh, this Papadopoulos guy, he was just a volunteer for the campaign. And hey, look, those charges that they announced, he just pled out to misleading the FBI. That doesn't have anything to do with the campaign. Of course, as the legal experts you've had on made very clear, that means he's cooperating, and there in these documents there were all kinds of connections, emails, various documentation of him cluing in top leadership at the Trump campaign. As for the Hill, Republicans have been relatively quiet. Paul Ryan early in the day said something like he's not going to let this kind of thing get in the way of doing the work for the American people. Taxes. And there were a couple of Republicans late in the day who said that Mueller should be allowed to continue to have this process carry out. So
saying he should go ahead. Amy, we were just talking about this. It was Senator Grassley and Senator Hatch, senior Republicans, saying the judicial process should move forward.
Right, and I think laying down a marker early on to say, if there's any indication that the president is going to try to dismiss Mueller or to try to dismiss these allegations, we're letting everybody know that's not okay. They didn't come right out and say that, but it seems pretty clear they're laying the parameters here for, to tell the president, this has to keep going. Do not try to short circuit this.
And the White House did say that President Trump is not considering getting rid of Mueller.
Right, and there was a lot of speculation about that. But Amy, does it feel like we've turned some kind of political corner here? We've been talking about the Mueller investigation, Now we see real evidence, tangible evidence of what he may have. Does it change things?
Well, that's a really good question, and I guess we have to start with in what context. So the first is, does it change things, as we talked about on Capitol Hill? Does it derail the Republicans' agenda and the president's agenda? They are moving full steam ahead on taxes. As we discussed, they already have a lot of we discussed this, I guess, last week. They have a lot of other challenges in getting a tax bill going forward. But is this going to derail them even farther? They're going to have to spend more time answering questions about this. The president will be distracted, not a strong and effective spokesperson if he's tweeting about Russia instead of focusing on taxes is number one. And the second, does it move voters? Like so much else in this country, Judy, people are really polarized on this question about Russia and its interference. There's one group of people convinced that no matter what, there was collusion with Trump and Russians. One group of people believe this is all basically fake and there's no there. And then there's a big group in the middle that says, I don't know what to believe, I'm not really paying much attention. What we're going to have to watch for in these next few weeks is whether those two groups, the groups that believe there's nothing there, or I don't really care because I'm not really paying attention to it, is there anything that they've seen that actually moves them? And it's really too soon to tell. The one thing that is important, though, Judy, is that this week, before we even started with these indictments, the president was already in a really deep hole politically. The Wall Street Journal NBC poll came out this weekend. The president at 38% approval rating. This is the lowest of his presidency. In fact, in all NBC Wall Street Journal polling, this is the lowest of a president at this point in his presidency, in his first term. So he's already starting at a very low point. Having your campaign officials indicted isn't going to make it that much better.
And yet, Tam, when you talk to Republicans, they point out, well, but he's still doing well among Republican voters, and that's what Republican members of Congress who want to be reelected are focused on.
Well, and the other thing they're focused on is getting this tax system overhaul done, because they feel that that's existential at this point. It's life and death. If they can't do that, then many of them feel that their chances of getting reelected are even worse. Their chances of holding on to the House and holding on to the Senate. And President Trump may have people that are associated with his campaign and people with close ties to him who have some legal problems and all of those things. President Trump is still a man with a pen who can sign a tax overhaul if one gets to his desk.
Well, and we don't know when or if other indictments are going to come down. We're pointing to this day as is this a turning point. But you just don't know at any day whether something else is going to, when another shoe or another thing is going to drop. It makes it really difficult if you are a political strategist, if you're a legislative person on the Hill, to try to map out anything, even week by week, nonetheless, for a couple months going out.
And meantime, as we just heard from William Brangham, the White House, the press secretary at the White House continue to push forward. The president himself, with his tweets, Tam, continues to push forward this idea that no, the investigation should be focusing on Hillary Clinton, the uranium deal, and other conspiracies.
Right, and the press secretary Sarah Sanders saying that the real collusion, look at the real collusion, it's Hillary Clinton and the dossier, which is an interesting argument and one that gained a lot of steam last week, right before the news broke that there were going to be indictments.
And, you know, what we've learned, too, about the Republican base is they may not all be completely unified around the president or the president's agenda, but the one thing that unifies them more than anything else, Hillary Clinton. Bring up Hillary Clinton's name, you're going to get the base coming around to support that contention. It worked in the 2016 campaign. It's not clear that it's going to work here. And again, for those people in the middle who aren't paying as much attention, maybe don't know what to think, is that really going to cloud it enough for them that they're not going to?
I mean, that's the question, because there's no one singular name that's going to be on the ballot in all these congressional elections, either in the Virginia governor's race, which we need to talk about next week, we will talk about next week, or in these races next year, Tam.
Yeah, that's it.
And that, if anything, what it does is it impacts enthusiasm from the Republican base. If they feel disillusioned, dispirited, they may not believe that the president's necessarily done anything wrong, but they're not feeling as energized about coming out to vote and support Republicans.
An energized Amy Walter and energized Tamara Keith. Thank you both. Politics Monday.
You're welcome.